The gates of abundance have swung wide open, and I step through with unwavering faith. Jackpot energy is now activated in every cell of my being. I do not hope for wealth. I know it is mine by divine right. I walk in alignment with the law of prosperity. I do not chase money. I magnetize it. For I know the game of life is a game of boomerangs. What I radiate, I attract. And today I radiate limitless opulence, the thrill of the win and the calm certainty of divine timing. I am not under any law of chance. I am under the law of miraculous multiplication. Unexpected doors fly open. Unseen forces conspire in my favor. The riches of heaven now pour down like golden rain, for my faith is unshakable, and my word is law. I have activated jackpot frequency, not by effort, but by belief. I have spoken it, and so it is. No man, no system, no circumstance can keep from me what is divinely mine. For when the soul is ready, the supply appears. I am ready now. I have prepared the inner, and now the outer must reflect it. My subconscious mind is a perfect recording instrument, and today I imprint upon it the vision of sudden success, divine wealth, and unexpected windfalls. I am a spiritual millionaire, and my wealth now takes visible form. I am rich with ideas, rich with favor, rich with perfect timing. Every dollar I touch multiplies. Every step I take is divinely guided. Every thought I think carries the vibration of increase. There is no delay in divine mind, so I release all doubt and I rest in assurance. I declare I am a magnet for jackpots, wealth, and every form of divine supply. I feel it in my spirit. I see it in my vision. I speak it with boldness. I act as if it is already done, for in truth it is. The tide has turned. The shift is complete. Jackpot energy is not coming. It's here, and I boldly claim it now. I am the winning vibration. I am jackpot energy in human form. I am ready. I am aligned. And I am receiving. So be it. So it is. And so it continues to unfold, under grace, in perfect ways. The divine never withholds. It is man's limited belief that delays the flow. In the great invisible storehouse of spirit, every desire has already been fulfilled. There is no delay in divine mind, only delay in human reception. When you understand this, you stop striving and start aligning. You stop wondering when your good will arrive, and start declaring that it is already here. Jackpot energy is not a far-off dream. It is a present vibration, ready to be received the moment you step into harmony with it. Most people stand outside their own abundance, knocking on a door that was never locked. But the game of life, as Florence Scovel Shinn so often said, is a game of giving and receiving, a game of believing and allowing. If you desire to win, to attract great sums, sudden riches, or divine windfalls, you must first believe they are yours by right, not by luck, not by chance, but by the unwavering law of spiritual supply. There is a perfect pattern for every soul, a divine blueprint that includes wealth, success, and happiness. And when you activate this blueprint through spiritual alignment, the manifestation becomes inevitable. You don't hustle for it. You don't chase it. You become it. You embody jackpot energy. You tune into the frequency of overflow, and then the outer world mirrors it back to you. When you wake up in the morning, you must remind yourself that the supply is already prepared, that today is not just another day, it's another opportunity to align with the abundant current of divine intelligence. Every breath is a chance to reset your vibration. Every thought is an invitation to either affirm your wealth or block it with doubt, and so you become diligent, not in effort, but in faith. You guard your energy. You speak only what you want to see. You hold no conversations about lack. You do not entertain thoughts of delay. You anchor yourself in the knowing. I am one with the source that created universes. How could I ever lack? In this spiritual truth, fear dissolves, worry fades. You become calm, centered, magnetic. You do not chase the jackpot, you magnetize it. You stand tall in your inner conviction that the supply is always ready. You are simply preparing to receive it. And what does preparation look like? It's not a frantic scramble. It's not effort or grind. It is spiritual order. It's choosing to speak truth even when the facts appear contrary. It's declaring, jackpot energy is now activated in my life, even when the bank account looks the same. Because you understand that facts are not truth. Facts are temporary, but truth is eternal. And truth says what you ask for with faith is already done. You begin to hold the image of wealth, not just in your mind, but in your entire being. You start walking differently, speaking differently, carrying yourself with the quiet assurance that your abundance is not coming. It's already present, just waiting to be revealed. You give thanks in advance. You celebrate as though the money has already arrived, because in truth it has. The moment you believed, it was done. This is the posture of true manifestation. The energy of the jackpot is the energy of joy, ease, and trust, not striving, not desperation. And as you hold this vibration, you begin to notice the shift. You receive signs, synchronicities, divine nudges. You're at the right place at the right time. You meet people who open doors. You receive messages that confirm what your spirit already knew. Yes, it's yours. Yes, it's time. And even when the physical form hasn't arrived yet, you remain unshaken, because your inner world has already changed. You've already claimed the win. The outer must now conform to the inner. It is law. What's beautiful about this alignment is that it's not rigid, it's not forced, it's a gentle yielding to divine order, a resting in spiritual law. The knowing that as you align, you receive, as you believe, it becomes. You no longer need proof, you are the proof. You no longer need signs, you become the sign. You radiate a new frequency, and it is this frequency that calls the jackpot to you, quietly, powerfully, inevitably. And from this deep spiritual awareness, a new confidence is born. You no longer fear competition. You no longer compare. You no longer wonder if it will happen for you. You know it must, for you are operating under divine law, not man-made rules. You have moved out of the energy of waiting and into the energy of receiving. This receiving is not passive. It's deeply powerful. It's intentional. It's consistent. Every day you speak your truth. Every day you command your reality. Every day you say with clarity, I am in alignment with the riches of heaven. They now pour into my life under grace in perfect ways. From this place, you are ready to engage the second law. You are ready to speak the words that direct spiritual law like a captain directs a ship. You are ready to command your reality with the power of the spoken word, for it is the tongue that sets your manifestation in motion. And the word that is spoken with unwavering faith is the word that returns fulfilled. When you are rooted in the truth that the supply is already prepared and your only work is to align, your next step becomes obvious. You must speak it, not whisper it timidly, not question it silently, but speak it boldly, confidently, as one who knows the spiritual laws are listening. For the moment you speak, you activate. The moment you declare, you direct. Your word is not casual, it is creative. It holds the power to move unseen forces, to rearrange circumstances, to pierce through resistance. It is the wand that draws spiritual riches from the invisible into the visible. There is no neutral word. Every word is either building your kingdom or delaying it. The word spoken with belief is the seed planted in rich soil. It cannot return void. It must fulfill its mission, and this is not just poetic, it is law. Divine law. You do not need to push or strive or convince anyone. You need only to speak your truth with absolute conviction, as if you are announcing what already is, because in the spiritual realm, it already is. You say jackpot energy is activated now, not as a wish, not as a request, but as a command, a spiritual decree, a declaration that shakes the ethers and calls forth wealth from the vast storehouses of the universe. You speak it as if you've already received the call, already seen the numbers align, already felt the rush of victory, for when you speak from that inner knowing, creation begins immediately. The universe doesn't respond to hesitation, it responds to certainty. Most people speak from their circumstances, not from their vision. They say what they see, instead of saying what they want to see. But the laws of manifestation work in reverse. You do not wait to see the wind before you speak it. You speak the wind, and then it manifests. You declare, I am the winning word. I carry the frequency of sudden wealth. I am aligned with miraculous outcomes. You speak it when nothing in the outer world supports it. That's when the words carry the most power. When they are rooted in faith alone, the subconscious mind accepts repeated declarations as fact. It does not question. It does not analyze. It simply obeys. It is your loyal servant, so you speak again and again, not for the universe to hear it, but for your own inner world to receive it. You speak to program your own mind into alignment. You speak to shift your internal environment until wealth becomes your dominant tone, until receiving becomes your natural expectation. There is an ancient authority in the spoken word. It is how worlds were formed. Let there be light, and there was. Your words create the atmosphere in which your miracles grow. If you speak struggle, you create struggle. If you speak overflow, you create channels for overflow. If you say, it is done, then the divine machinery begins to move, aligning people, places, opportunities, and divine timing on your behalf. So let your word be unwavering. Let it be filled with joy. Say it with rhythm. Say it with breath. Say it with soul. There is power in repetition, especially when charged with emotion. Each time you say, I am jackpot energy. I am the vibration of divine wealth. I am in alignment with outrageous, unexplainable favor. You are not begging the universe. You are commanding your field. You are shaping reality with your own divine instrument, the tongue. Florence Scovel Shinn often said, man's word is his wand filled with magic and power, and truly the word is the bridge between the spiritual and the material. It's how invisible intention becomes visible form. You don't just think abundance, you speak it. You don't just hope for miracles, you announce them, even when the mind protests, even when logic argues, even when doubt whispers in the background. You keep speaking, for the word overrides fear. It breaks through resistance. It draws the future into the now, and then something miraculous happens. Your world begins to change. Subtle shifts appear. Conversations change. Money comes unexpectedly. Opportunities show up uninvited, and you realize you've stepped into a new current, not by accident, but because your word paved the way. You cleared the inner path and the outer followed. You no longer need signs to believe. You are the believer. And so the signs follow you. You say it once. You say it again. You say it until it feels natural. You say it until every cell in your body responds with a yes. You say it until even the walls around you begin to hum with your truth. Because everything listens. Energy listens. Life listens. And when life hears a soul that speaks with spiritual certainty, it rushes to deliver. From here you begin to understand an even deeper mystery. You are not subject to luck. You are governed by divine order. What the world calls chance, you recognize as spiritual precision. There is no randomness in divine law. When you speak with faith, your words go out and gather the equivalent vibration. They return with riches, with signs, with open doors. Because what is spoken with conviction sets spiritual law into motion, and once the law is activated, it must complete what it was sent to do. And so when your words are spoken with certainty, and your spirit is grounded in truth, you begin to walk in a new authority. You are no longer subject to the chaos of outer conditions. You are no longer moved by appearances. You rise above the world of effects, and begin to operate in the world of cause, the spiritual realm where all things are already complete. You know now that chance is an illusion. Randomness is a myth. You are not at the mercy of fate. You are a co-creator with divine intelligence, governed not by human systems, but by eternal law, divine order. This understanding becomes your foundation. You do not look at others and compare paths. You do not wonder why one person wins and another does not. You recognize that everyone is working with the same law, whether they know it or not. And now you are conscious of it. You are aware. You are deliberate. That alone sets you apart. That alone puts you in a different current. No longer tossed around by the winds of doubt or the waves of fear. You stand rooted in spiritual certainty. You realize the jackpot is not a fluke, not a random selection. It is a match of energy, a response to alignment. The one who aligns receives. The one who believes, receives. The one who prepares, receives. And you are that one. You are prepared in consciousness. You have spoken the word. You have taken dominion over your thoughts. You have silenced the voice of fear. And because of this, the law must obey. There is no way it won't. The law is not emotional. It does not discriminate. It simply reflects. And it reflects now your new vibration of divine expectancy. Gone are the days of hoping, wishing, begging. That was the voice of a soul disconnected from truth. But now you command. You decree. You speak from the knowing that everything in your life is unfolding by perfect spiritual precision. What looked like a delay was preparation. What seemed like rejection was redirection. What appeared as silence was simply the stillness before the flood. When you step fully into this truth, a new boldness rises in you. You no longer fear losing. You no longer worry about missing out. You understand that your good cannot pass you by. What is meant for you is already yours and is coming through the perfect channels, at the perfect time, in the perfect way. You do not need to hustle to find it. You need only to stay in alignment with it. Stay in the frequency of trust. Stay in the posture of receiving. Stay in the consciousness that says, everything I seek is seeking me now. You begin to see the signs more clearly, not just numbers or dreams, but patterns, divine clues, perfect positioning. Things that once seemed random now reveal themselves as spiritual architecture. The people you meet, the places you feel drawn to, the sudden changes, they are all part of the unfolding. And you do not resist any of it, because you know divine order is behind it all. You know there are no mistakes when you're operating under this law. Even the seeming detours carry blessings. Even the waiting is pregnant with purpose. Others may call it luck. Others may say you were in the right place at the right time, but you will know the truth. You were in the right vibration. That is the place. That is the time. And it is always now. This realization frees you. It removes the desperation. You no longer feel like you're racing against time. You begin to enjoy the process because you trust the law. You walk through life with calm assurance. You breathe differently. You expect miracles, not as fantasy, but as normal, as the natural response of a universe that must obey divine law. You understand now why some people receive and others struggle. It's not about worthiness. It's not about effort. It's about spiritual law. And when you align, it's impossible not to receive. You don't need to prove yourself to anyone. You don't need to struggle to convince the universe of your readiness. You already are ready. You already are enough. Your inner world is calibrated to overflow, and because of this, what you desire is being magnetized to you at lightning speed. You walk through the world differently now, with your head high, with your energy elevated, with your language refined. You no longer entertain conversations rooted in fear. You no longer speak about lack or complain about delay. You do not gossip about failure or participate in disbelief. You are on another level now, not better than anyone, but more aware. You see through illusion. You live by principle. And because of this, you become a living demonstration of the law in action. What others call miracles, you now call manifestations. What others call sudden, you now call scheduled. What others call chance, you now recognize as the echo of your alignment. You are no longer hoping to win. You are vibrating as a winner. You no longer wait for jackpot energy to arrive. You have become it. And from this unshakable posture, your word begins to take on even greater power, because it is no longer speaking from desire. It is speaking from identity. Now, from this sacred place of divine order, your vision sharpens. You begin to see with spiritual eyes, and you realize that the pictures you hold in your mind are not fantasies. They are blueprints. They are the previews of coming attractions. And it is your responsibility now to shape them clearly, to imprint them deeply, and to hold them unwaveringly, for your subconscious is waiting to be instructed, and it will obey without fail. The moment you become aware that you are not living by chance but by law, a powerful shift occurs in your mind. You begin to take responsibility for the pictures you hold within. You understand now that what you consistently see in your mind's eye will eventually show up in your outer life. There is no separation between imagination and manifestation. The subconscious mind doesn't know the difference between what is real and what is vividly imagined. It simply accepts what you feed it, and from that inner image, it begins the divine work of reproduction. So now you don't just speak wealth. You see it. You don't just affirm abundance, you feel it. You live it in your inner world before it ever shows up in your bank account. You realize that your mind is a sacred canvas, and whatever you paint upon it with focus, feeling, and repetition becomes your lived experience. Not someday, not if you're lucky, but inevitably, because this is the nature of spiritual law. You begin to discipline your inner sight. You no longer let the old images of failure, delay, or fear linger. You erase them with love. You replace them with divine truth. You see yourself holding the winning ticket. You see the email, the message, the check, the surprise deposit. You see yourself rejoicing. You hear the words, "You've won," and you don't just see it once. You make it a practice. You sit with the vision, not as a fantasy, but as a memory from the future. You let it fill your senses. You let it become so familiar that it feels normal. This is not daydreaming. This is divine preparation. This is spiritual work. The subconscious mind must be trained. Left unchecked, it replays the old fears and patterns that keep you stuck. But when you feed it daily with the feeling of the jackpot, the energy of victory, the vibration of wealth, it begins to reshape your beliefs, your habits, and your behavior. Suddenly you're drawn to inspired action. Suddenly, you say yes to things you once hesitated over. Suddenly, you carry yourself differently, and the world responds. Because your outer world is only ever echoing the inner. You don't receive what you want, you receive what you are in harmony with. And the fastest way to enter harmony with abundance is to see it first, to hold the image until it becomes your emotional reality. You walk as one who has already won. You smile at the unseen, because it is no longer invisible to you. You feel the weight of the blessing before it lands. That's the energy that calls it forth. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that imagination is the scissors of the mind, cutting out every shape, every scene, every possibility. And whatever you continue to cut and hold will be passed into form through the law of subconscious creation. So if you cut out scenes of struggle, you create more struggle. But if you cut out scenes of overflow, divine surprises, sudden elevation, you create the stage for their arrival. You start to make visualization part of your rhythm. Before sleep, when the mind is soft and open, you let the picture play again. You don't force it, you allow it. You drift into sleep with the image of miracles unfolding, the jackpot arriving, the celebration beginning. You let your dreams be seeded with success, and you awaken with the energy already alive in you. You hold this image not just when you're alone, but throughout your day, in line at the store, during quiet moments, even in traffic. You return to the picture again and again, not because you're desperate, but because you're aligned. You understand now that the repetition is not redundancy, it's reinforcement. You're rewiring your entire system, and each time you return to the vision, it becomes more vivid, more detailed, more real. You add layers. You imagine who you'll call first, how you'll celebrate, what you'll do next. And each emotional detail strengthens the neural path between the vision and its physical manifestation. You're no longer hoping, you're rehearsing. You're mentally and spiritually preparing your life to receive what's already been declared. People may not understand. They may say, it's just your imagination, but you'll know better. You'll know that imagination is creation. You'll know that every great outcome was first held in the invisible before it touched the earth. You'll remember that every miracle begins with belief, and belief, when supported by vision, becomes unstoppable. You don't visualize to escape your life, you visualize to transform it. You don't run from your current reality, you upgrade it from the inside out. And now, because your inner world has changed, the outer cannot remain the same. Your frequency is higher, your field is activated, and the things you once chased begin to find you. You are now living in inner alignment with wealth, and soon that alignment will take form in ways you couldn't plan. Unexpected channels will open, the right people will appear, the right words will be spoken, not because of luck but because of law, a law that must obey the dominant image held in faith. From this place of inner mastery, you now understand that the energy you hold determines what you pull in. And the key to holding that energy consistently is to feel it deeply, to live it internally, to see it clearly over and over again, until the world has no choice but to mirror it back to you in physical form. And as the inner image becomes stronger, more vivid, more emotionally charged, something extraordinary begins to take place within you. A new atmosphere forms around your consciousness. Doubt, that silent thief of blessings, begins to dissolve. Worry can no longer anchor itself in your being. You no longer wonder if you know. You no longer ask when, you assume it's already unfolding. This right here is the emergence of faith, not the kind spoken about lightly, not blind hope, not empty words, but real living vibrating faith that moves unseen mountains and bends time itself in your favor. Faith is the vibration that sets everything in motion. It is not passive, it is dynamic. It is not timid, it is magnetic. It draws, attracts, opens, and accelerates. Faith does not beg. Faith does not plead. Faith commands with quiet assurance. Faith is the evidence of things not yet seen, and yet when you carry it, it is as though the thing is already in your hand. It becomes impossible to feel lack when you are saturated in faith. You begin to see every delay as divine timing, every detour as a redirection, every challenge as a spiritual setup for your greater good. This kind of faith is not built on outer evidence. In fact, it often contradicts what the senses report. Faith looks lack in the face and declares overflow. Faith stands in an empty room and celebrates the manifestation. Faith hears a no from man and knows there's a yes being whispered from heaven. You begin to feel a boldness rise in your spirit, not arrogance, but divine authority. The knowing that what God has ordered, no man can cancel. What is yours, and nothing can stop it from reaching you when you walk by faith. In this vibration, you feel lighter. You no longer carry the tension of needing to figure it all out. You stop obsessing over the how. You let go of control and lean fully into trust. Because now you understand that the how is not your job. It never was. The form, the channel, the method, those are not your responsibility. Your only work is the alignment. And that alignment is achieved through unwavering faith. Faith that it's already done. Faith that it's being orchestrated in ways that surpass your imagination. Faith that the universe is rearranging itself right now to deliver exactly what you've declared. And because faith lives in the now, you bring yourself back to this present moment again and again. You don't look too far ahead. You don't obsess over the timeline. You stay in this moment where power lives. You breathe here. You speak here. You act here as if it is already so. And this is not pretending. It's not fantasy. It's spiritual law. Because the moment you believe it is done, it is. And everything around you must now bend to match the frequency you're holding. You begin to notice things shift. The air around you feels different. People respond to you differently. You start to attract what aligns with your faith. Resources, ideas, messages, confirmations. And even when the outer doesn't shift immediately, your inner peace becomes unshakable. You're no longer waiting for results to feel safe. You are safe because faith anchors you. You are whole because you have become one with the outcome before it arrives. Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Faith knows it has already received and acts accordingly." So you start acting as the version of you who already received the jackpot. You spend time in that energy. You walk through your day making decisions from that place. You align your posture, your choices, your words, and your presence with the frequency of fulfilled desire. And as you do, you begin to see that faith isn't just a belief, it's a state of being. You are faith. You are walking evidence that the unseen is real. In this vibration, your world begins to rearrange. Not slowly, not subtly, but suddenly. Things start to click. Things start to flow. Things start to multiply. Not because you chased or forced, but because you finally surrendered into the current of divine certainty. And that current has one destination only: manifestation. You become more attuned to the quiet whispers of intuition. You notice divine nudges, those subtle yet unmistakable impulses that guide you. Go here. Speak to this person. Check this message. Apply now. Buy that ticket. And each step taken in faith becomes a piece of the larger picture being perfectly constructed on your behalf. You no longer fear missing your moment because you know your moment is magnetized to your energy. It's already on its way, guided by the vibration of your belief. And here, in this new frequency, you begin to realize that everything comes when you no longer need it to validate your faith. You don't need the win to prove anything, you already carry the feeling. And that is why the win must appear. Because the law cannot be mocked. It must obey the seed that's been sown in unshakable belief. And you have sown it well. Now from this place of vibrant living faith, you become even more open. Your energy is fluid, your heart is receptive. You've stopped trying to control every detail, and in doing so, you've made room for miracles. And it's here, in this openness, that the real acceleration begins, where the unseen orchestrates the impossible, and the impossible becomes your reality. Faith brings you into flow, and from this flow, a greater surrender begins to awaken. Not the kind of surrender that gives up, but the sacred kind, the kind that lets go of needing to know how everything will happen. Because the more you walk in alignment, the more you realize the outcome is already guaranteed. It's the path that surprises you. It's the route that humbles you, amazes you, and proves again and again that divine intelligence has a million ways to bring your good to you, ways you could never predict, ways you wouldn't even think to ask for. You stop fixating on the method, and instead, you stay devoted to the frequency, because the moment you attach to a specific how, you limit the divine. You reduce the infinite to something small and manageable, and Spirit is not here to operate within your limitations. It is here to surprise you with abundance that exceeds your logic. So you loosen your grip. You drop the obsession with steps and timelines. You breathe. You return to the knowing. It's already done. It's already finding its way to me. I don't have to micromanage the miracle. There is great peace in this surrender, not passive, not weak, but deeply powerful. You no longer feel the need to manipulate every detail. You no longer chase outcomes. You no longer ask, "What should I do?" from a place of pressure. Instead, you wait for the inspired action, the inner nudge, the divine pull. You don't act out of fear. You move from faith, and that difference changes everything. Suddenly, the path unfolds differently. Doors open you didn't even knock on. People mention opportunities in casual conversations. A message shows up at just the right time. A delay reroutes you to something greater. It's all so precise, so effortless. And the more you witness it, the more your trust deepens. You realize that divine timing is not just a phrase, it is a law in action. It's a sacred choreography. And all you need to do is stay in tune. This surrender is not about doing nothing. It's about doing only what's aligned, only what's inspired, only what your spirit is prompting you toward. You're not lazy, you're selective. You no longer waste your energy forcing outcomes. You've become sensitive to the flow. You can feel when something is yours, and when something is just noise. You move when it feels right, and you wait when it doesn't. And because of this, your energy stays powerful, focused, magnetic. You begin to notice that the less you try to control the how, the faster things move. The more you trust, the smoother the path becomes. You don't resist anymore. You allow. You've come to understand that resistance is born from fear, and fear is no longer your home. You live in faith now. You dwell in expectancy. You operate from spiritual law, And so you know that if one path closes, it simply means a better one is already prepared. You do not panic, you praise. You do not chase, you align. And in this state of grace, you remember the truth that Florence Scovel Shinn so often repeated. What is yours by divine right can never be taken from you, and what is not yours can never stay. So you don't try to hold on to what's not flowing. You release quickly. You let go of the false idea that your blessing must come through one specific source. You recognize that people are just instruments, channels through which the divine can work, but the true source is infinite, and that source is never in shortage. So now, instead of grasping tightly to a single door, you remain open to many doors. You hold your desire clearly, but your method loosely. You trust that the details are being arranged in the invisible. You walk through your days expecting good, but not demanding it from one direction. You know it may come through someone new, through an unexpected conversation, through a delayed opportunity that ends up being 10 times better. And because of this openness, you live in constant surprise and delight. There's a lightness in your step, a quiet power in your demeanor. You're no longer seeking signs, you are the sign. The energy you carry is the confirmation. The peace you walk in is the proof. You know now that surrender is not weakness, it's strategy, it's divine trust. And when you're in this space, the how becomes irrelevant, because the what you desire has already become inevitable. You live now in a beautiful dance with the universe, a partnership. You plant the seed through your word, you water it through your vision, you strengthen it through your faith, and then you surrender the growth to spirit. You don't dig up the soil every day to check the roots, you trust that the process is working, and you trust that when it blooms, it will be bigger, brighter, and more abundant than anything you could have planned. You let life surprise you now. You let God show off. You no longer say, "Show me how," you say, "Show me wonder." You walk in expectancy. You remain available to magic. And because of this surrender, the jackpot you once strained for begins to move toward you, effortlessly, gracefully, perfectly. Not through hustle, not through grind, but through divine, invisible alignment. When you stop gripping the outcome and start trusting the infinite ways it can flow, you enter into a state of magnetism, so powerful that the universe can't help but respond. You've stepped out of the old energy of control and into the sacred current of receiving. And this is where the shift becomes undeniable. No longer are you asking, pleading, striving. You are radiating. You are becoming the vibration of what you once hoped to attract. You are now the one pulling the strings, not from ego but from energy. Your field becomes a living prayer. You carry yourself differently, not with arrogance, but with assurance. The energy you emit says, "I know it's mine. I know it's done. I don't need to chase what's already on its way." You become an open portal for abundance. People feel it when you enter a room. Circumstances begin to respond to you, not because of what you do, but because of what you are being. You have become aligned, tuned in, awakened to the truth that your energy is your wealth. And jackpot energy is not something you attract, it's something you embody. There is a sacred law that governs all: like attracts like. You are not rewarded for suffering. You are not chosen through struggle. You are aligned through vibration. And the vibration of jackpot energy is one of joy, freedom, expansion, and total trust. You no longer wait to feel that way after the win. You generate it now. You choose to feel wealthy before the money appears. You choose to feel successful before the doors open. You choose to feel celebrated before the applause comes. And because you have become the frequency of what you desire, you have given the universe permission to return it back multiplied. This is how the flow begins. A message here, a confirmation there, a chance meeting that's not chance at all. Suddenly you are in the right conversations, in the right rooms, on the receiving end of divine timing. People speak your name in rooms you've never entered. Your energy walks ahead of you, and all of it is magnetized by what you are radiating within. But to sustain this, you become intentional about your vibration. You don't leave it to chance. You guard your joy. You protect your peace. You detox from fear, from comparison, from low-frequency talk. You become aware of what drains you, and you walk away, not out of judgment, but out of loyalty to your alignment. You know that your energy is currency. You know your inner atmosphere is creating your outer results, and so you treat it as sacred. Even when the outer isn't showing what you expect yet, you don't lower your vibration to match your circumstances. You keep your circumstances rising to meet your vibration. You speak life when silence tempts you. You bless your bank account when it's still growing. You dance in the kitchen for no reason. You give thanks before the evidence arrives. You give from overflow, not obligation. And because of this, life begins to echo that joy right back to you in visible, tangible form. You become generous, not just with money but with your energy, with your time, with your smile, with your belief in others. You uplift because it's who you are, not because you expect a return. But the law returns it anyway. It multiplies what you give, because you are no longer giving from lack, but from knowing. You are giving from fullness. You are pouring from a cup that never runs dry, because it's connected to Source itself. And as you continue to radiate this energy, you begin to realize how easy life actually wants to be, how joy wants to lead, how wealth wants to find you, how miracles are not earned, they're allowed. You stop complicating things. You stop overthinking every move. You rest more. You breathe more. You listen inward more. And from this soft place of surrender and strength, everything becomes accelerated. You walk through the world now as one who is already in possession of the blessing. You don't fake it. You feel it. You don't perform it. You embody it. And in doing so, you align with the spiritual truth that what is felt deeply within must appear outwardly in time. The delay, if any, is only the grace period during which your vibration is catching up to your manifestation. And that time is shrinking because you are no longer at war with yourself. There is no contradiction in your field now, no more believing and doubting at the same time, no more affirming and fearing in the next breath. You are whole in your knowing. You are consistent in your frequency, and from this steadiness, wealth flows to you not in fragments, but in floods, not in drips, but in downpours, not in crumbs, but in overflow. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. You live it. You let the energy speak. You let the results show. And as you continue to radiate wealth, radiate belief, radiate joy, you become a magnetic force. A walking prayer answered, a living demonstration of what happens when someone dares to believe they are already enough, already chosen, already in alignment. You are now the mirror through which others remember their own power, and through your light others begin to feel the shift too. From this space you are ready to act, not react, to respond, not from fear, but from divine nudges. You are now in a position to hear clearly, to feel deeply, and to follow without resistance. And it is this readiness that opens the final gateway, where all you have seen, spoken, and believed begins to take undeniable form. And now you move not only as a receiver of abundance, but as its living proof. You've become the embodiment of jackpot energy, not through strain, but through stillness, not through effort, but through essence. You've stepped into the ultimate truth. You were never manifesting the thing. You were manifesting the version of you that has it, and now that version walks this earth. The world around you begins to recognize it, not by the loudness of your claim, but by the quiet power in your presence. People don't just see you differently, they feel you differently. Your silence carries weight. Your joy feels contagious. Your boundaries speak for themselves. You're no longer seeking validation because you've already validated yourself through your alignment. What you used to beg for, you now simply expect. Not from arrogance, but from truth. You are no longer knocking on closed doors. You are being invited through open ones. Doors you didn't even know existed. Opportunities tailored to your energy. Miracles on autopilot. This is where you stop proving. You stop explaining. You stop defending your dreams to people who can't hold the frequency. You bless them and you move forward. You don't wait for approval, you follow alignment. You no longer spend time in places that dim your light or second guess your vision. You protect what you carry now, not out of fear but out of reverence. You understand now that sacred things grow in silence. That overflow doesn't need to be broadcasted to be real. That the jackpot energy you walk in is not a moment, it's your new normal. You wake up with a different rhythm, no more anxious rushing, no more forcing inspiration. There is peace in your process now, clarity in your movement. You are guided by the divine GPS within, step by step, word by word, nudge by nudge. You don't skip ahead, you don't fear being behind. You understand that delay is divine coordination. You're never late for your own timeline, because your journey is customized by spirit. Every turn, every pause, every acceleration, it's all unfolding perfectly. Your language has changed. You no longer speak what you don't want. You no longer narrate your limitations. You declare what is written in the spirit, not what appears in the flesh. You say it is mine, even before it shows up. You bless your life in advance. You call things that are not as though they were, because your words are not casual, they are codes. Every sentence is a seed. Every affirmation is a decree. You speak on purpose, with purpose, knowing the invisible realm is listening, and it is responding. You begin to notice that even your challenges carry gold now. That what once looked like loss now feels like protection. That delay doesn't rattle you, it reassures you. You've grown too aware to be shaken. You've gone too deep to be disturbed. You understand now that the deeper the foundation, the higher the tower. You don't curse the process. You don't resent the journey. You bless it all because all of it was carving out the capacity to receive what's already yours. And in this space of deep alignment, you no longer just receive for yourself, you become a vessel for others. You start to circulate the same energy you once craved. You give wisdom freely. You sow encouragement generously. You become a reminder to others that they too are worthy of the extraordinary. Your success no longer intimidates, it activates. Your wealth no longer isolates, it includes. Your voice no longer seeks echo, it becomes a vibration that awakens the sleeping. You start seeing life through the eyes of grace. Everything feels orchestrated, not random. You're not afraid to dream bigger, because you've witnessed what happens when you align. You're not hesitant to start again, because you've seen how resets often precede revolutions. You don't question your power, you anchor in it, and you don't beg the universe. You partner with it, you are a co-creator now, not a desperate seeker. You are no longer trying to attract, you transmit. There's a sense of ease around you, and yet a fire within you. You've learned how to hold both the soft and the strong. You no longer prove yourself through hustle. You demonstrate your power through peace. You no longer chase validation, you rest in divine confirmation. You're not here to compete, you're here to rise, and you rise by remaining in truth. This is the energy that draws in the miraculous, the kind of manifestations that others call luck, but you know better. You know it was built in silence, anchored in faith, protected by discipline, fueled by alignment. This is the reward of inner work, the harvest of unseen roots. And it all began when you said yes to becoming the version of you who already has it. You now understand the jackpot was never just money, it was never just a number, it was a frequency, a way of being, a return to wholeness. And now that you carry it, everything around you begins to respond to it. You don't need to look for the miracle, you are the miracle. You don't need to wait for the shift, you are the shift. And from this place of deep embodiment, every step you take becomes an invitation for the universe to deliver, not someday but now. You walk differently now. You speak with power. You live as one who is already crowned. And as you move forward, you do so not to become, but to express what has already been activated within you. Jackpot energy, fully alive. And so as you stand in this moment, crowned not by chance but by choice, you recognize that jackpot energy was never about waiting for one golden moment. It was about remembering who you are. A divine vessel, a magnetic force, a living expression of infinite wealth, joy, and purpose. You are not becoming lucky, you are the luck. You are not chasing alignment, you are alignment in motion. Let this be your daily knowing. The gates of abundance are already open. The flow is already here. What you desire is already looking for you, pulled by the frequency you now hold. Stay rooted in that truth. Walk forward, not with doubt but with declaration. Let the world feel what you carry. Let your presence announce what your words never need to explain. This is your season of overflow. This is your time of divine unfolding. The jackpot is not a destination, it's the life you now live. Breathe it in, speak it out, and let every step be a celebration of what has already been done in the unseen, now making its way into your hands. You don't chase the miracle, you embody it. You don't force the flow, you become it. You don't wish for the win, you walk in it. Jackpot energy, activated, forever.